GEGP.
Ray is still catching his breath from yesterday.
You know what I like? I like that everyone else loves the receiver class.
He has been damn near unstartable for 2 years, and you keep jamming him in your lineup.
Here's the kicker, Ray.
The offensive line was a wreck. They don't have a lot of weapons out there.
I'm clueless at how to get this data, but I just send him a message like, hey, can you pull like this for me and just send me a spreadsheet so I can look at it? GEGP, good evening. Happy Sunday. The preseason is finally over. This is the last destination chill of the off season. I'm glad to be back with Ray as he gets me with the sounder. Been a lot to talk about before we get into the season. This is going to be a fun one where we get to just sit back, rehash everything from the off season, from the preseason, from training camp. But Ray, next Sunday, we're going to be right in the midst of setting lineups for the first time.
Yeah.
Opening week is in, 12 days at this point? I believe it is.
Yep.
And we're ready to go. So glad to be back. It is August 24th. Again, last of the preseason. Maybe at the end of this, Ray, we'll talk about what we're going to do during the season because the members are still going to get their destination chill show. It's just going to look a little bit different than it does in the offseason. But it's been 2 weeks, my friend. A lot to talk about, a lot of player changes. I anticipate over the next 3 or 4 days, we're going to get some trades, some more cuts, some more things to discuss and dissect. But how are you tonight?
Man, it's good to be on here, man. It's crazy because I'm driving in. Family and I, we went down to Houston to see my new niece, man. My baby sister had her third child, so we went down there for some family time. But I was riding back, and I'm like, damn, man, only once every other week. Like, I kind of miss talking to you weekly because so much stuff happens throughout, the 13 days you and I get together. But I just want to say, appreciate all the members, man. Everybody who is here early, who are members of this channel, really appreciate the support, man. I know Ty DeClaire would say the same thing. Shane and Scott with the Dynasty Deal show, this show, and some of the cool stuff that Scott and I have planned for this season. So we'll continue to pump out members-only content. Y'all get it first. Make sure you act on it first. And as we put other videos up that are not necessarily members only, we'll make sure to drop that to y'all early as well. I've done that over on my channel with some of the content, and I think I did that here with Trinity. But yeah, man, there's a lot to talk about, dude. It's Dynasty season, and I think about the episode that we did a year ago where we were talking about that higher stakes best ball league where we traded all those pick assets and got picks, and just thinking of how far the Dynasty game has kind of shifted from just then, what people are doing for players, how people are feeling about what we would consider historically just awful profiles. And you see people making insane deals for players where you're like, man, I would never do that for an undrafted free agent running back or a 5th round pick wide receiver. And I don't know, man, to get today's Dynasty game, it feels like it's influenced by a lot of different things. But that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight as we're wrapping up the preseason and training camp and camp clip highlights. And, really, Scott, that's just the time for us to get excited football is back, right? Like, we know that those camp clips running against air aren't really moving any kind of needle. Like, that's not real football, but we're just excited that it's back. But now that we've got 4 or 5 weeks of that out of the way, right? That's kind of gone. And we are right here where the regular season is about to start. And you're like, okay, all the Hopium, Xavier Restrepo's, like, he ain't going to be on the field now. So what are you just thinking in general about, I don't want to say the state of Dynasty Fantasy Football, but just how are you feeling in your Dynasty leagues right now when it comes to players, this upcoming season, value, all of that stuff?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I think this is the time where we've just come to the end of the preseason. We're going to see a lot of roster movement over the next couple days. But I think it's time to kind of reflect and look back at some of the actual things that moved the needle this past August, July, and dissect those. And I know this may get lost because we're doing this right before the season. The season's going to get here, right? And nobody's going to talk about off-season roster management until February again, right?
Yeah.
But just think back. What do we talk about a lot? ADV, sentiment. Think about some of the things that actually moved the needle. I'm not talking about Twitter hype, X hype, somebody pumped this player up as, that this was a great highlight. What actually moved the needle in leagues that you saw? Like, what did it take for a guy like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt or Ollie Gordon to actually be able to get moved for something. It isn't just a good highlight, because there's been plenty of players that have had a good highlight or have had a great camp, right? There's plenty of these day 3 receivers that probably don't suck. Doesn't mean they're going to be relevant, but they're going to make a team, right? Tez Johnson probably is going to be on the team and have some sort of role. I haven't seen anybody trade for Tez Johnson. Keandre Lambert-Smith, same thing. Like, they're probably solid players that are going to fit on a team, but they haven't quite moved the needle where somebody goes, dude, I'll pay a second. But then you look at the ones that's actually happened. So I just want to talk through those with you real quick. Like, what does it actually take? Because I think it's interesting that some of those were not the ones that I expected. I never expected people paying damn seconds for Dante Thornton. And that's probably not a guy I'd want to pay a second for right now, right? Like, if you drafted him in the 4th, 5th round and he's on your roster, I see why you would sell him for that same price, just given what are the expectations for what his trajectory looks like. Like, most of the profit and the victory lap has already been realized until you go, you know what, he's going to be better than, I mean, someone compared him to like a, somewhere between like Xavier Legette and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. If he has that type of career, you'd be like, that's a solid pick, right?
Yeah.
Never really a fantasy relevant player you would want to pay a second for. But that doesn't mean it was a good pick at the time. But I was kind of looking through, like, anything that comes to your mind of truly, I mean, people are paying for Ollie Gordon now. They're paying seconds for Ollie Gordon. Like that, and there's a mix of he needed injuries, he needed flashing, he needed a role that probably looks like it's going to be there. But he also needed just the right name, the right mix, the right ADV coming in. All of those things factor. And it just doesn't work with every player, even if they had the same type of preseason, the same type of highlights, et cetera. You know where I'm getting at. I'm kind of all over the place. But
no, you listen. This feels like it's going to be one of them episodes. This is going to be a good one because I don't know what it is that really moves the needle. Okay, I would like to say it's their collegiate production and their profile, their athleticism, their speed. I would like to say all of those things. I would like to say it's because some of these players are on awesome teams in great situations and have efficient offenses. I don't know if it's any of that shit, Scott. Like, I truly am curious as to, I mean, the reason why it's so hard for you to fathom somebody moving a second for Deontay Thornton is because he's a day 3 receiver on an offense where you know who the number 1 option is. It's Brock Bowers. You know they're going to run the piss out of the ball with Ashton Genty, and you just know that historically you don't do that, right? Like, you don't do that. But you talked about Ollie Gordon. I mean, I'm seeing him traded for first-round picks. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, first-round picks. These are day 3 running backs, man.
Braylon Allen, not a rookie, but
not a rookie, same thing. Doesn't. I think, because if you're just asking me football-wise, man, like, does Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt enter the season and just get it all, right? Like, legit, he is the RB1. I don't believe that's going to happen. And I could be flat out wrong, and this has nothing against Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, but I'm just looking at their team like Eckler's going to play his role. Eckler's going to have a role, right? Whomever the RB2 is probably going, like, I just don't see that happening. Is it hope? Is it blind hope because some analyst said it, right? And then the echo chamber of fantasy football, just, it's quick to latch on or off of a player. The right person says a name, right? Next thing you know, everybody in the fantasy community is talking about it. But I've yet to read any real NFL article from somebody covering the team that's just like, he is the locked and loaded 25 touch per game running back. Nobody else is going to see the field. But it feels like that's how we talk about these players that might see a little bit of opportunity. I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah, with him is an interesting one because I think you can say, I just want whoever's in the backfield, right? But then nobody cares about Chris Rodriguez or Austin Eckler. People now finally are like, I've heard the last couple weeks how Austin Eckler is actually a good pick. He's been the same role since they got him, right? He's literally had that same role penciled in from March to today. Would you agree that the Commanders probably view Austin Eckler's role, what it's been since March, April, through the draft, through Brian Robinson not having a good camp, through them trading him away? None of this has anything to do with him, but more people are interested in him now. And it's like,
yes,
I understand the logic. He's done it before, right? Not saying Eckler's going to handle a ton of workload, but if this Robinson deal means he gets 5 to 10% more opportunity, I understand why you're more interested in him now than before.
Of course.
But I'm looking at, like, with JCM, I get it. You want to buy him for a second? I think I can justify for a second, because I could justify a lot of usable running backs that can give me a half a season worth of some spot start production with a little upside and excitement. That's worth a second. But when you start going beyond that, Ray, you're going beyond what you could get a full season of, like, Tyrone Tracy for. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at, like, are you just for sure going to say, like, he has a better outcome than Tyrone Tracy last year, or what he could be this year? Like,
no, you can't say that for sure. If you're going to buy him for the production, it just feels like people buy in because it is fun to have the asset that is, quote unquote, what is the saying? Going to the moon? Going to the moon.
Yeah. But then as it's going to the moon, you don't do anything with it. So what do you really have besides you got some production out of a running back, which is worth a second. But going beyond that just seems like it's a little bit of, I don't think people buy when they have a plan. They buy because that's the cool thing to do. Maybe it's for clicks or engagement. But it's just weird looking at the profiles of guys that, because you would not put JCM in the same bucket as Ollie Gordon and Braylon Allen, right? You can see why people like those guys.
Yes.
Those guys were anointed as, like, the next big thing at some point in their careers. Maybe it didn't quite get to that track, but here they are. But his has just kind of come out of nowhere. So it's interesting. And the other one that's, I don't know where it is right now on the market, but Harold Fannin, Ray.
Oh yeah.
That's another one that's,
oh yeah.
It's almost like, you know, we're going down that rabbit hole again of, what do you always say? Is Harold Fannin is he a slot receiver, right? Is he a better slot receiver than probably the slot receiver they could put out? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the role you start hearing people say, dude, he's going to be their starting slot. He could get 100 plus targets. Just, I don't know. I'm rambling.
It's
interesting to reflect on.
Don't you think that part of it, though, is some of the redraft game sort of spilling over into Dynasty? Because from this season, right, 2025, if Ollie Gordon is the RB2 to start, yeah, I can justify, based on that Miami situation, based on whatever narrative I want to tell myself about Achane and his ability to stay healthy, based on the fact that they were one of the worst teams in the red zone last season running the ball. I could tell myself a story where that's worth a second production-wise this year. JCM's the starting running back. He's going to be on the field and get opportunity, right? Probably not all the work. Austin Eckler still got his pass catch and roll. But from a dynasty perspective, that's what we're here talking about. Nobody is disputing the fact that if you want to draft him in that range of running back or receivers, he's probably worth it, right? There's a chance that he sees just as much work this season as Zach Charbonnet. Who's going to produce more? I don't know, right? Because this is not... This doesn't feel, just the athletic profile of him. Like, there's a reason why he was a 7th round pick, right? There's not a lot special there. Like there isn't. There is not a lot of special there. Now, the situation might be good. The opportunity is fruitful, but I guess for me, he would be one where I wouldn't be parking a future first round pick into him. Not with how good the 26 class looks, how exciting the 27 class might be. I just don't think I could go that far yet.
Well, and I think the blend of the dynasty and redraft game has started to become such as, outside of, what do you think a good arbitrary cutoff will be? We're talking super flex here, but let's say maybe the top 50 to 60 players.
Okay.
Outside of that, everybody else that I want on my roster, I want guys that are producing right now. And then I also want these to the moon players that everybody is after week to week. And now there's going to be many of those that come up throughout the season, right? Week 4, there's going to be a list of names that people are starting to pump. Week 8, towards the end of the season, et cetera. But it kind of feels like if you have your core roster let's just take a vanilla like 12 by 10 type starting lineup, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have your 5 or 6 locked and loaded starters, doesn't it feel like you want the rest of your roster to be usable players at like the lowest common denominator price, right?
Yes.
And then you want some of these players that all you need is one break for the story to be told, like a Jalen Milroe, Harold Fannin type of player.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else, I just want to be picks. I don't need to have a roster that is just loaded top to bottom with good starters. But it kind of feels like that's the optimal roster that a lot of people are chasing. And some of those guys like JCM and Braylon Allen and Fannin, like they'll also cross over to the production side, you hope, during the season. But man, when they do, you have even more flexible assets to buy even more productive, maybe distressed price players during the season. It feels like it's the season of, I'm looking at a lot of my teams going, how can I pare down the players that I really have as anchors? And then everything else, I just kind of want to have these upward trajectory players going into the season. And we've gotten kind of a settlement of where those are. Like I could give you 10 names and you could give me a real baseline level of like what their excitement or sentiment level is going into the season in terms of what do people expect from them in 2025. Some of them are like, yeah, he's just on the roster because he has to be. And then there's others where you're going, man, I can see that player, even if they're not productive. All it's going to take, I'll give you another one, Ray, a JMO high ankle sprain before people are going, oh, Tesla.
Oh,
dude, he's the wide receiver too. You know what I mean?
Like it's Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah.
The point is, like, that's a player. I see almost no use for him in my 12 by 10 lineup, but that's what I want on my bench, right? I don't want a backup replacement starter on my bench. Like, I want my bench full of those types of players just because I know I'm going to be able to shuck and jive during the season and make moves for more production. That kind of feels like the new Dynasty Edge if you're playing it that way. What I don't want to do is go and pay picks to have those guys on my roster right now. Because then what do I do once I have them? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to realize those picks back because I already paid picks.
And what do you think about this doozy? I'm looking at some deals. I'm looking at some trades. Somebody was able to move that JCM for Tesla in a 26 mid-first. Projected mid-first.
I mean, you're getting the first, which is a smash, right? But you also got one of these players that, like, here's
you
the
could
thing.
flip him.
In 3 weeks, if JCM is like splitting the snaps 3 ways at running back, and Tesla's on the field and he's put up, 2 touchdowns. Like, people might want Tesla over JCM. That's how fickle it is. You know what I mean?
Listen, it's sentiment, and I'm looking up some trades right now because I want to talk through some of these because, again, I don't think they're all just awful for this season, right? For what you're chasing for points this year. My bigger question is the dynasty game. Like, JCM was a 4th round rookie pick, waiver wire kind of ad, waiver wire. So just
he was one of those where, like, it's just get your guy. Some people had a lot of them, other people didn't even ever take them. So yeah.
So isn't the profit already made in dynasty, not underdog, not seasonal leagues? Your ability to move him for a second plus, a first as a 7th round rookie running back in what probably will be some sort of committee backfield, even if he's a top 36 running back, like, have you not already profited tenfold off of that to turn him into a 1st, 2nd round pick outside of him becoming Saquon Barkley? Like, how do you lose that deal?
I don't think you do. And I think the beauty of him being a running back, just like Ollie Gordon, it's hard to look at these guys and say there's any real, unless you're going to hit the sell window where everybody thinks they're going to be more than what they actually are. Because I think it's fair to say Ollie Gordon and JCM are not going to be guys where you're going into next year and you're going, they're the starter. They're the guy. You know what I mean? Like, where they are right now is probably what they're going to be. They have a role. They're trusted in a role. We don't know how big or small that role is going to be, but it's probably never going to be like we're viewing them much more than what their current opportunity presents, right?
Right.
So the key is being able to use those opportunities when they come up. So if you have them on your roster, like if you can get, I don't mean just Ollie Gordon puts up points. I mean, he puts up points, but you're starting him that week. It's clear when you know to start him. You get those. Let's say he has 3 top 24 weeks this year. You know when those are going to be. you take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Like he's on your roster. He's in your lineup. That's when you really profit off of those deals because you realize the spot start opportunity, which is true for almost all the running backs outside of the top 15, 20, the ones you just know are going to get a certain floor of opportunity. Everybody else, you just have to take advantage of it, and any value you can get on top of it is, I mean, dude, what can I replace those couple JCM starts with in that deal with the first? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I could tack a third onto Tesla and get Hank Bigsby. You know what I mean? Something like that. And I go, damn, I actually matched what I traded away. Like you really that's a true first round profit. And you still probably ended up with a similar bet at running back. That's where you really can make these deals and capitalize with the hopium.
But check this out, man. I'm looking up some trades and we're going to talk through some things. I like to shout out dope people. And we have a patron, a Discord member, somebody who has helped me. If you trust the Trinity and you checked out the range of outcomes tool, that's because I found somebody that loves fantasy football as much as me, that actually knows how to build shit. So shout out to Lee. He's in the chat. Savage Fantasy Football. Hey, man, y'all go check this out. Like this user interface, the speed of the site and the stuff you can do is friggin' awesome. And you can sign up. It's like 14 days for free. You know what I mean? After that, continue to be a part of it. But like it's got this thing, sentiment, right? Players who are being talked about, rising sentiment, most discussed folks. You could search this stuff. But the thing that I find the coolest, I like stuff to move fast. And I'm doing this in real time, Scott. Even if you don't know how to spell Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt's name, if you could just get like a part of it, it will pull up active trades that are like literally, I didn't even put his whole name in there. And you can see in real time, fast as hell, right? Oh, you want to look up Tesla? I don't really know how to spell it, but I know it's TES. There you go. Like in real time, this is happening full speed, man. Ollie Gordon, you want some Ollie trades? Let's take a look, Scott. We'll just put in Ollie in the thing. Boom, there you go. Your format, your team, all of that stuff. So shout out to Lee and this tool. Check it out. It's free 99. These deals made for Ollie Gordon. You can filter it. Tiered PPR, more common scoring format. Damn, Ollie Gordon for Matthew Golden in a 10-team start, 4-point per passing touchdown league. Tiered PPR. Just really cool. Works awesome. Works on your phone. And you could look this stuff up. So let's look up some Krosky Merritt deals, Scott, and just give me your thoughts if you would do it or not, all right? Ja'Cory, there we go. Got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. This was yesterday. Let's go filter. Let's see if we've got, here we go, 12 teams. Okay, here it is, 10 teams. Trying to find some ISO deals, Scott. I mean, geez, I think I would trade James Cook for a first and Merritt, would you?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a first for James Cook, and you're basically getting JCM for a third.
Yeah.
I like that. Because I think if you're building your roster around having a guy better than James Cook, I have no problem moving him and just backfilling with bodies. I love that deal.
Here we go. Let's go to like a 12-team start 10, 6-point per passing touchdown league. 27 mid-second or Krosky Merritt. Like in Dynasty, you could justify this, right? Maybe not. 27 second, not a 26. It's not a 27 first either. I feel like you could justify this even in Dynasty. I'm fine with a 27 mid-second for Krosky Merritt.
Yeah, Ray, I think we talked about this the other night on Destination Chill, that if you have a second, when I trade a second away, I'm hoping for more than just a couple starts. You know what I mean? I'm hoping for maybe a third to a half of a season of, when I say production, I don't just mean the player produced. I mean that I actually needed to use that player and I was able to capitalize on, let's say he runs off, 4 straight games where he's a top 30 running back. Like I want to be able to use that in my lineup. So I think that's fair. If you're betting on that's what he is and you just add him to a running, what I don't want to do is pay a second, because I was looking at a team today, Ray, and I have like the ultimate running back stable. I mean, we're talking like Gibbs as an anchor, and then like a Chuba Hubbard, Travis Etienne, and then a bunch of these guys. I mean, I hit the nuts on this team with running backs. I have like Braylon Allen, Ollie Gordon, like a bunch of these guys where I'm like, damn, Tyler Algier. Like, I don't need another one of those guys, which I'm not saying JCM is just Ollie Gordon or Braylon Allen or Tyler Algier. He might be a little bit more. But if I have like 5 of those dudes already, that's when I don't need to pay the second. You know what I mean? Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, he's like my RB6, RB5. Like he's going to outkick his coverage a bunch for me to know that I'm starting him every week. But week 1, who do you trust more, JCM or Ramondre Stevenson? Week 1, you had to set a lineup today.
I think I would put Ramondre Stevenson
it's
in the lineup.
It's got to be Ramondre, right?
Yeah.
Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne.
Yeah,
like you're putting the, that's the problem is like, unless you're going to have him over these guys, and he could elevate over those types very quickly, but you just have to look at your rosters. That's why it's like a second is a fair price. The people paying first, I can't justify that. I mean, how many running backs would you pay a first for in general? 6?
Yeah.
7?
The ones that everybody knows, right?
Right.
The ones that everyone knows.
Probably like Chase Brown, Bucky, that's like the limit.
Yeah, that's probably the limit. And there's been some Chase Brown slander on the timeline too. I don't know if you've seen that started to flourish and pop up. You haven't seen that? You haven't seen that he is just a volume dependent guy in a good offense and all the peripherals aren't very good?
I will say this. The Bengals are going to run the brakes off Chase Brown for 2 more years. And then what happens. But
yeah,
they're like the Cowboys. They are not going to invest heavily in the running back room. And so they have so many other problems. He's not one of them. So is he going to be an asset that is coveted forever? Probably not. But like, it's hard for me to go, you know what? I'm a little down on him because he's not going to be as good as he was last year. Like he's probably not going to be because he was like the damn near RB1 the back half of the year. But I don't get the slander. I mean, do you care about Chase Brown after this year either, or will you just use him for this year and then reassess, right?
See, but that whole statement right there, right? That's why we're here. What is dynasty value then? Because the answer to that question, the answer to your question to me is no. I don't give a shit. After this season,
he doesn't go to nothing after this year.
I know.
He might be a little shakier.
Right.
But he might be on shakier ground, but he doesn't go to nothing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
Like what I have in front of me is a potential top 6 season. Then I'll worry about all the negative, but it isn't like he's an asset where you are panicking to move him now because nobody's really chasing him like, oh my God, I got to have him. You know what I mean? So it just feels like we overthink a lot of these running backs that were not Saquon, Christian McCaffrey. Like, there's not a lot of those guys, but they don't all just get replaced. So,
but let me just ask you. I feel like I don't know. You tell me who are people more inclined to put their long-term dynasty faith in? Which one of these running backs? Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt or Ollie Gordon? Just off the rip. Who do you?
Ollie Gordon.
Ollie Gordon. Okay.
Ollie Gordon.
And we would both agree that Krosky-Merritt has, at least it projects to be more immediate opportunity than Ollie right now.
Right now, yeah. I think it's more ambiguous. I think there's just as much competition, but I don't think the competition is viewed nearly as much as like Achane is viewed. So yes.
I mean, Achane is the guy. Come on, man. If they said the calf is no issue, he's going to be fine for week 1. Yep. Like I just, it's interesting how, because somebody might hit, right? You might get Krosky-Merritt could be Isaiah Pacheco. Ollie Gordon could have multiple years being productive in a good offense. So when we think about dynasty in these windows of 1 year versus multi-year, it's almost like we're buying into these more fringier profile guys. I mean, a few months ago, no one gave a damn about Matthew Golden. He was a first-round pick, right? And it's just kind of like, nobody wants a part of Adonai Mitchell, who was a high 2nd-round pick, but they're 4th and 5th rounders that people are trading real capital for, like before they've even stepped foot on an NFL field. Like, why does this happen today? Like, I feel like people were selling Puka Nacua as quick as they could just a few years ago. Amon-Ra St. Brown, get out, right? Like, what has changed between now then where we're at, where we're going to where it's just like people don't give a damn, man. I mean, are the health of dynasty leagues the same? I'm asking a real question, man. Is the health and sort of like the long-term stability of these dynasty leagues the same as it was? Are people hanging around 3-4 years, or do they get in, try something, and when it fails catastrophically, they just bail?
I think this is one of those taboo subjects that we don't talk a lot about, because I think a lot of my leagues that I'm in are pretty healthy. I have at least a dozen leagues, right, that have been around 7 or more years. And we have quite a few others that we've created. We've created within our community, within the Discord. Like, they're not going anywhere. There may be a couple owners that bounce, but we'll easily fill them with the dispersal, reboot things. Like, not concerned they're going to go away. But to be fair, like when we look up trades on Dynasty Daddy and we see some of these JCMs for a 27 first, like we're sitting here going like, what could be going through somebody's mind when they make a deal like that? But do we know anything about that league, how healthy it is, how active it is, how the managers pay their dues? Hell, it could be a $10 league versus a $200 league. We don't know. So I think that is fair. Like, you do have to take it with a grain of salt. But I just think that people are more willing to roll the dice and understand that if it goes wrong, that they'll be able to pivot. I think you do find a lot more people with multiple leagues now that are willing to just go, you know what, there's plenty of people in our community that have 15 leagues.
Yep.
And they may make a reckless deal or two because they're really in on a player, or they've tailed, one of your favorite players, and, you're pumping them up and they pay a second. Yeah, you probably shouldn't pay a second for Dante Thornton, but you did. And then it ends up going badly, and you go, you know what, I got to retool because I made too many of those deals. And they're willing to retool, and they're willing to do it. So I just think people are not as, I don't even want to say as sharp, because I think they know what they're doing. But sometimes it's just, I'm willing to fix it later when I have to. So I think leagues could be healthier today than they might have been in the past. But I don't know. Like, you can't speak for every single one.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is a conversation that there's no real way to measure it, which is why we don't do a lot of content on it. But it is fair. Like, how many leagues are fly by night? When you see somebody post on X that they got 2 firsts for, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I just, I saw that team trade both of their 26 and 27 firsts for, insert this fringe player. I don't know about that, Ray.
Yeah, I mean,
because we don't know if that manager bounces after a year. You know what I mean? Is that really a deal that you could get in most leagues where you have people that are, have a plan with what they want to do with those picks? I don't know.
And for those of y'all who are listening back on the podcast feed, you're not watching on YouTube, I had Lee's website pulled up. You can see the URL, but it's savageff.com, like Savage, like Macho Man Randy Savage, ff.com. Check it out. Sign up. It's free for like 14 days. I don't know if it's like 14 calendar days from him launching it or when you sign up, but figure it out on your own, all right? Savageff.com. Fast, cool, dope. Check out trades. There's a bunch of shit in there, man. Like, look up your players on your dynasty rosters by age. Scott, got a couple of 35-year-olds on my rosters out there. Probably need to go figure out who that is. But coming out of preseason, man, how are you feeling about things, right? How are you feeling about, this rookie class, any of these older vets? Like, who's somebody that you've been watching? You've been watching the market. You're in the Discord 24/7. Like, what do you want to get off your chest as we approach week 1 from a dynasty perspective? Everything here, no underdog, best ball, rosterships, none of that. Just from a dynasty perspective, how are you feeling about this upcoming season from an NFL standpoint, how it's going to factor into the 26 class after, I don't want to say it was a poor class yet, but right now the QB class from 25 is, I mean, we're really crossing our fingers for Dart to be that dual threat guy and Cam Ward and Tennessee to figure it out. But coming off of a class where it was a little shaky at that top end QB spot, we got a lot of big time college football coming up. So all of that stuff more so. And I think it's one of the things we have to lean back into more, because in a seasonal structure, underdog, you don't give a shit about 26. None of that Arch Manning hype does anything for you like that. It's nothing. It's inconsequential, right? But from a dynasty perspective, you better believe there are teams that are looking ahead. They want to know who the damn what other quarterbacks look like? What's that RB class look like compared to what we got? Do I need to go try? What do you always hear in Dynasty towards the end? Well, I'm not going to make it. Let me go trade for some young backs. I don't have a lot of picks next year, so I need to get some youth. I'm going to, let me go figure out a way to get Woody Marks. Maybe he can be more in 26 than he was in 25. So kind of a loaded question designed to let you take this wherever you want. But how are you feeling about Dynasty moving into this 25 season?
I want to talk about quarterbacks. You down?
Okay. Yep.
Talk about QBs?
Cool.
All right. So I'm just looking right now, and I think there's some clear tier breaks at quarterback that we can kind of eliminate from the top to the bottom. But I want to talk about that old quarterback dead zone, because I do think that is, it does piggyback into underdog or redraft, because I think that's the range where it's kind of like you just kind of get the guys you want that fit that specific build, and you're betting that specific quarterback has a season that's a little bit above where you're having to pay for him. But I think it's similar in Dynasty. So let's remove, just for purposes of this argument, right, we're going to remove the top 5 quarterbacks, which I think everyone agrees is the same 5, right? Hurts, Burrow, Lamar, Jaden, Josh Allen.
Correct.
I think they're in a tier above where, like, anybody else, you have to add to them to get into that tier.
Correct.
Then there's a clear tier break, which I'm just looking at Keep Trade Cut. There's a clear tier break that is already established with Jackson Dart being the end of the tier. And I think there's 10 guys Jackson Dart could move above, potentially, depending on what happens this year. But I think quarterback 23, Jackson Dart, is where it cuts off. Below him, guys like Tua, Geno, Matt Stafford. I mean, those guys I think the community views them correctly as they're fragile, right? They're probably like 1-year bets. They're guys that don't have a lot of sentiment. They don't have a lot of ceiling. But in between there, Ray, I'm going to rattle off a bunch of these names. Mahomes, May, Nix, Herbert, Stroud, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Cam Ward, Baker Mayfield, J.J. McCarthy, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix, Bryce Young, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, and Jackson Dart. That's 18 quarterbacks.
Okay.
We could talk sentiment. We could talk about rushing upside. We could talk about passing efficiency. We could talk about trucks versus trailers. But what I've noticed is that because I literally omitted the top 5 and then I named the next 18, there's not a lot of scarcity, right? Pretty much you go to most leagues. Would you agree that in every 12-team league, there's usually one team that's the mark?
Oh, yeah.
1 or 2 teams is the tanker, doesn't care if he has any quarterbacks. He's tanking for Jeremiah Smith.
Yep.
He doesn't give a shit if his only QB is Jalen Milroe, and maybe he's got like a dart.
Yep.
But he doesn't care. You know what I mean? He doesn't care about whether they start week 1, doesn't care when they take over, doesn't care about their upside or who they're stacked with, just doesn't care. So that leaves like 10 to 11 teams. And you go up and down and you go, I had a roster today. Someone asked me, what are you looking to move off of Dak Prescott? Because he was my QB3. I go through every single team. Every team had 2 of those guys that I mentioned. Maybe one had Jaden and Jared Goff. None of them had a glaring hole where it was like a deal can get done, where those guys can move for anything liquid. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can trade one if it's the right player, but more often than not, there's very little demand. But I think it's also, if you're right in that range by making the, you know what, Ray, I will pivot off Drake May for Dak in a second, something like that. Like I think I just want to talk about that, because with that, all those guys I named, I don't think I named one guy that's in danger of not starting next year. And then we're talking about 6 quarterbacks in the first round again next year, which I think is a little much.
It's a little too much.
Imagine we had 5 more Jackson Darts, and they were all behind guys like Kyler, Dak, you know what I mean? Justin Fields, Tua. Like what would you do? That's what we're facing next year. Now there's going to be teams that need quarterbacks.
Okay.
But I'm just thinking, like, there has to be a clash here. We already have the dead zone, and we're already projecting a class that the strength's going to be quarterbacks. So let's go minimum. We have 3 first-round quarterbacks, but it's probably going to be higher, just given what we know right now. Let's say 4 to 5. Where is the boiling point? Because something has to happen where this tier starts to separate. So what's the edge now before the season? Once the season gets here, we're going to know if Drake May is really quarterback 6. or if Caleb Williams is really quarterback 6, or if they just kind of falter back. But where's the boiling point? Because I think we're getting to that point where if you have some conviction on how to play quarterback this year, you can really take advantage of this next class, where I think because there's this, everybody has a guy, right? Everybody's got a Bryce and everybody's got a Jared Goff. Like, what is the true demand going to be next year for next year's Bo Nix, Michael Penix? Are they going to fall again like they did 2 years ago? Even though that mistake, we look back and go, dude, you should have never let Nix or Penix fall to the second round. But people did, because they didn't need them. And we're facing that again in 2026. What do you think?
This is fascinating. Because of just about every one of those quarterbacks you name. Dak, Tua when he's on the field. You know what I mean? Like they're going to score a bunch.
Tua's below this year. Tua's the guy. You're already expecting him and Fields and Darnold and Geno. We're already writing those guys off. But if they're not, that just adds to the mix. There's even more.
So here are the projected win totals for Vegas. I'm going to just give you the bottom 5 teams, okay? Just give you the bottom 5 teams. Cleveland, 4.5. So they're projected to pick number 1, okay?
Yep.
You got the Titans, the Jets, the Giants, and the Saints with 5.5 wins, okay? And then I'm just going to stop right here at 6.5. You got the Raiders and the Panthers. Browns, we fully expect them to take at this point, we're not using any logical football. What they should do is just go defense and defer. Their quarterback is in the mix for the Browns. Titans, probably not. Jets, absolutely. Giants, probably not. Saints,
yep.
Probably.
If you had to project the odds a team is picking high and needs a quarterback, how would we draft them? You'd go Browns. You'd go Saints. Those are probably the 2 teams you don't even think are going to be good that also need a quarterback, right?
Correct.
And then probably the Jets are close right behind.
You got the Jets, and then the next couple are the Dolphins, the Jags, and the Colts. Man.
Colts is another one.
If some of these teams, man, like you said, like the Cowboys, the Cardinals, those are all teams. Even Tampa Bay. Once they get to the end of the season, they're like, hey, man, we like Bake, but we need to be thinking about the future as well. If they draft if they take a quarterback, their value will diminish. There's no doubt about it, man. I've got no question the community would try to steam up whoever the Cowboys have, behind Dak Prescott, especially if they like the player, man. There's a lot of production and value on very fringy things right now, it feels like. There's a lot of ambiguity long term at the position. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing to think about because I haven't. The Dolphins take somebody Tua's nuked. What do you do? Because if he's on the field throwing to Achane, Waddle, and Hill, I'm looking at him. He's pretty good when he's out there and not concussed, right?
Well, here's the what if game, Ray. Here's how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna say, Ray, what if this team sucks? And I'm not even saying they suck because the quarterback sucked, but the team just isn't good. They're picking high. Now, obviously, if the Cowboys suck, it probably doesn't mean Dak threw for 4,540 touchdowns, right? He's probably part of the problem, or he got injured, or something bad happened. But I'm just going to say, what if insert team sucks? And let's just brainstorm what that looks like. Ray, what if the Panthers suck? I don't want it to happen because I like Bryce. But what if they suck? What if they're picking top 3 again? Is there a conversation?
Absolutely. You have to. You would have to. Let me say this. There would be enough speculation about their speculation to where your Bryce shares really aren't good right now. They've just recovered. Let's be real.
True. That's true. People be scared to death to hold that Bryce just because people were talking about it, right?
Just talking about it. So I think, he would lose steam, no doubt about it. None. No doubt about it.
All right, Ray, what if the Cardinals suck?
Dude, Kyler doesn't throw for 4,000 again. Marv doesn't exceed expectations. Trey McBride suffers a little bit. They're in the range. Well, here's the thing. If the Cardinals suck again, what's his name? Petzing? What's the Gannon? Is that the head coach? Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. If they suck again and they're picking in quarterback range, like if it's that top 5 range, at least there is enough speculation prior to April 27th that them Kyler shares would be in flux 100%. And the funny thing about Kyler is nobody debates the fact that he can score fantasy points, but there are a lot of people debating on if he should be playing quarterback for the Cardinals, and just they don't like him, right? Not that good. His fault all that stuff is happening. Hell yeah, people would be panicked.
I do think that is one could be a fascinating topic in 2026, because here's what I do know about Kyler. 5 teams would trade for him and give him another shot for a year or two.
He's a better Justin Fields. He's a better NFL version of, he's going to start again and he's going to score fantasy points when he's on the field. But that doesn't mean he's that quarterback of the future for Arizona or whatever the case may be.
And if he moved to another team because that happened, there'd be just a little bit of a less floor, right?
Oh,
like
100%.
Second opportunity, there'd be just a little less of a leash in that second spot.
Yes.
But put Josh's comment up there from 5 comments ago. He names Browns, Saints. You see that one?
Yeah, I got it.
This is the dream, right? There's 5 first-round quarterbacks, and it just perfectly aligns with these 5 teams. We know Browns, Saints, Jets. Those are ones you kind of expect. But then, you kind of hope there's a way that, maybe the Colts go 7-10, but it's clear that the team has good infrastructure, and it's just they don't have a good quarterback, right?
Right.
The Rams struggle because Stafford gets banged up, but dude, the
team is good.
Garrett Nussmeier in the McVay system, you're like, hell yeah, I would take that. That's what we want for Dynasty. We do want, wouldn't you agree that the Rams would be like Bo Nix to Sean Payton? Whoever they draft, people would expect top 20 numbers right away, right?
Right away. Yep. Kevin O'Connell with JJ. Yeah. Well, Shane Steichen's gone. Shane Steichen's gone.
You think that if they have a bad year, they're cleaning house?
That's my thought. But
okay.
But if it is, so either way, if Steichen survives, he gets his guy. If it's a clean house, they're going to get the guy that the head coach that comes in, whomever that may be, he's going to, if they take a quarterback, that's his guy.
There's a couple other these that I want to throw out there. I don't know if I quite have the stones to put it out there yet. You already mentioned the Buccaneers. That's an interesting one. I mean, we think Baker's good. There's nothing to say that he isn't, but
And I didn't say Baker's gone, but they draft somebody, right? We need to be thinking down the line. Where are you going to go? Green Bay?
No, because I think Green Bay is one that it has some excitement, but it's not a ton. But let me ask you this. What if the Vikings go 9-8 and it's clear that the quarterback is not comparable to Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold? What's the sentiment on JJ going to be? Is he going to get a mulligan? I'm not saying they're going to replace him, because they're not. They can't just give him 1 year. But what's the sentiment going to be?
Yeah,
because he's already polarizing. I think there's a lot of people that are going dude, there's no way I can pump him up and say he's a QB1. There's others that are like, I think he stinks, and I don't think that's fair because he has a great situation.
Yeah. I think it would depend on how JJ does. I really do. I think it will depend on a lot of how Justin Jefferson, the other JJ, Justin Jefferson. If Justin Jefferson smashes and they still kind of stink, then the narrative will be he missed Addison for 3 games. They're going to add some other stuff. I think but if Jefferson suffers,
has the worst year of his career,
that is what will be unforgivable. And I'm not even being fun. That will be it. It doesn't matter about Addison. It doesn't matter about Hawkinson. If he can feed Justin Jefferson, it will be everybody else. And for what we're talking about, the dynasty community and the fantasy community they will forgive that. But if Jefferson suffers, right, and he's not as hyped up as some people think he might be, that will be where you have a problem. Not from Minnesota, because Minnesota's going to ride with him for another year. I want to be very clear. I believe he's getting this year and next year to figure it out, and probably half of the other year unless he's awful. But the dynasty space, man, they're so fickle. Dynasty Fantasy Football today is fickle as shit, man. So if other people suffer and he's not as good, yeah, that will be what does him in a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's almost, there's never a situation that's too good to fail. But I do think Minnesota's current infrastructure is probably very hard for J.J. McCarthy to just flame out.
And that is why, if it does happen and that guy suffers, people will be like, how did that happen? They invested in the offensive line. They brought in another running back. You have Justin Jefferson. You've got a tight end, and you got Kevin O'Connell, right? What the hell, dude? Like, that's what we see it all. Look, dude. I mean, Caleb gets buried for being a colossal bust with 3,500 passing yards and 20 touchdowns last year? And he's in 400 and something. Like, he is true. Like, damn what you think about. Like, he is one of the few quarterbacks in the league that is truly capable of like a 4,500, like, for fantasy. 4,000 passing, 500 rushing yards. Like, that is within his range. He just had 3,500 with Shane Waldron and Eberflus. Like, he just did that. You're talking about Kyler, who's never gotten close. He's never eclipsed 4,000. I know he missed some time, but like, that's within Caleb's range, and people think he's a bust. Like a flat-out bust, man.
I have 3 more. We'll talk through these real quick. Real quick, Ray. What if the Falcons suck?
Oh.
What if Penix goes out there and throws 22 picks?
Dynasty-wise, he'll lose all kinds of steam. He'll lose more steam than JJ, dynasty-wise. Okay. Ain't nobody out there. No one's
people
really
don't view him as he has a high ceiling. They view him as like, I mean, you hear people saying he could be the next Jameis Winston, but like they need to see the 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's an easy one. 2, I think these are a little more interesting. What if the Lions are barely in the playoffs or miss the playoffs? Is there a talk there? Or is it going to be one more year? Ben Johnson left. We're still adjusting, that kind of conversation. You think it'll be staved off for one more year? Because their roster is about to get really expensive.
Yeah.
Like, this is their window. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why people are excited about Tesla, because they're like, man, we might not be able to pay J-Mo if he has a good year. Can't pay that J-Mo, right?
Okay.
NFL-wise, I think Goff is more than safe, man. The reality, and again, I don't think the two are synonymous. NFL-wise, he's taken a team to a Super Bowl. He's been to an NFC championship game. He was a number 1 overall pick. Like, even if shit goes south in Detroit, which I don't think it will, personally. I don't. He's going to play. Like, I think he's one of those quarterbacks that, as long as they want to play, like, he's going to be better than 31 other quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, dynasty-wise, it's funny that people are pumping up that Goff now because, like, he never has felt like he's had any kind of dynasty value. Not really. Not like real steam. And he was a good producer last year, so I think you're going to get a whole cluster of quarterbacks, Scott, that's going to fall into that old Kirk Cousins range. The veteran value that you know is going to start and produce, but really has no true liquid dynasty value.
Yeah, I think Goff would fall down into like the Geno, Darnold, Stafford range where he'd be on a little shakier ground, but it isn't like he's at risk of getting replaced. Not right away. He'd have another year to, see if he could kind of recover what.
Dude, honestly, I know you. I'm pushing you because I think he's better than that, man. Like, when you really look around, Sam Darnold is starting.
He's better than that.
Geno Smith is starting.
He would be viewed on his last legs if that happened, even though he's not on his last legs. You know what I mean?
He's the new Kirk Cousins. Yes. It's honestly, when you look at these tiers, it's not even. It's the Goff tier. Like, it's not called Kirk Cousins anymore. And he's just 30 years old. I mean, he's got another of starting NFL 5, 6 years. Let's be conservative. 5 more years as a starter in the NFL. 2 more in Detroit. Things don't work out. He gets a 3-year deal to go play quarterback in Tampa Bay and wherever it is. Like, he's in it's the Goff tier, because after him, it's like Fields he's right below him, but he's a cut 2 cuts below for real, NFL wise. So I think he is the new Cousins. It's the golf tier now.
All right, last one, because this one's going to hit close to home, Ray. What if Dallas sucks? Which you've said.
Oh, they're waiting to blame Dak.
There's a good chance they're going to suck.
I don't think they're going to be good. I do not believe my Dallas Cowboys are going to be worth a damn. And I know people, Giants, they'll just dog walk them. I don't know, man. If they stink it up
now, if they played week 1 without Micah, I'd give the Giants a legitimate. Giants are the better team.
Without Micah, without a run defense, and without their starting left tackle and La'el Collins playing right tackle, I would not want to see that front four right now.
They cut Collins today.
Thank goodness. That doesn't make me feel, but thank goodness, right?
I know.
And the funny thing is, he's valued behind Bryce Young on KTC. Like that, when Dak is healthy, this is a top 10 fantasy producer, but people hate that Prescott, man. People hate that Dak, and if Dallas stinks, they don't have a backup quarterback right now, so the chatter will be to find a QB. Like, it ain't gonna work. I've already got people that have texted me, if it doesn't work, we need to get him out of here. Like, he needs to just go.
Dallas stinks, it's Dak's fault.
It's his fault.
Even if he goes for 30 touchdowns and 4,400 yards, it's he didn't do more.
Correct.
And to be fair, he is getting paid like he should be doing more, but
that is
how much
fair.
More can he actually do? You know?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
$60 million quarterback, you can't go, well, we didn't have a defense this year, so we just wasted another season.
Yeah, I mean, for real. So, yeah, dude, the quarterback market is and whether these guys turn out to be top 10 picks or not, Scott, and every year you can go back through the course of time, whoever is in the Bleacher Report or the Ray Garvin, Cody Carpentier, way too early 26 mock today, they won't be there come April. Like, they just won't. Like, it's not going to happen. So I'll just say this. The thought going into this college football season is the quarterback class is much better than what we just had. Arch Manning, regardless if he declares or not, the sentiment and feeling amongst just about everybody in the draft space is we're looking at a better crop of quarterbacks. So there at least will be more options to choose from in 2026, which makes a lot of these guys, man. But how do you play it? When I know, Scott, without a shadow of a doubt, Geno Smith is starting all 18 games, 17 games. He is the starting quarterback. Sam Darnold, I don't care how much you think Jalen Milroe might play down the line. It's Sam Darnold's job all year. Jets ain't going to know Adrian Martinez, right? The Dolphins, can you even name their backup quarterback? So it's how do you treat these assets in Dynasty that will first, and you can't just say, well, you should have roster constructed to make sure like that they serve a purpose. Sometimes you just have them, right? You got that rogue Fields that you've never been able to move, and now you're a contender, and you're dependent on that rogue Fields as your QB1, right? QB2 in your spot. Like, so what do you do when the Jackson Darts are coming? But you got some of these old guys that'll just be in the league for a little bit, man.
Yeah, I think it's, if you're stuck in that situation where you have a guy like Fields or you have a guy like Geno, like you kind of just... You got to ride it out and not expect any actual value realization, right? Like, you want those guys on specific types of builds. You want those guys on specific types of teams. And if it's an accident, see if you can fix it. But yeah, especially Fields, like Fields is the one where it's like, he's so tantalizing. He could give you a top 12 season, but also the team could suck so bad that people are going, why is he out there? You know what I mean? There's nobody else. Maybe Daniel Jones is a candidate to do that too.
Okay.
Like you don't look at a guy like that and say there's any sort of equity built in from a dynasty perspective, because I do think there's an end that you already can foresee coming. I wanted to talk through some of these ones that people don't view that way, because something's got to give. You can't. Yeah. I mean, you put out your top 10 quarterbacks. I think there's been every one of those names. I've seen somebody say that's a first round pick. Now there's not going to be 10 first.
Right.
But when you're sitting here going like, I can squint and see where John Mateer's a first rounder, or Mendoza's a first rounder, or Drew Aller. Like I think this is the reason people call it a strong quarterback class is because there is a wide net of prospects that people are just chattering right now could be or could work themselves into be first rounders. Doesn't mean we're going to have 10 first round quarterbacks. We might not even have 5.
Correct.
But there's probably going to be a class that if the right landing spots hit, it's going to be beautiful, but it's probably not going to work out that way. Like Josh said, Steelers, Colts, Rams, Browns, all the teams that we hate their current situations, all of them are picking in the top 10 to get quarterbacks is probably not how it's going to work out. There's going to be 3 or 4 that currently have quote-unquote safe guys that at least the conversation is going to be there. Ray's going to be sit there in March going, dude, should the Panthers explore a quarterback? They're picking 4th overall. Yeah. What do you do with Bryce? At that point, you don't do anything with Bryce. You hope he starts because if they take a quarterback, he doesn't. You know what I mean?
Well, and also with the QBs, we know there will be shifts, right? There will be a veteran moved, a veteran cut, an Anthony Richardson traded. Like there will be a few that land in some spots where they get some opportunity. I want you to tie a bow on quarterbacks because I have a treat for the people. All the members watching tonight, everybody watching after the fact, anybody that's on DDFFB that has followed Scott Connor since the Zoom chat days knows, you see it on his damn shirt right there, process over players. Scott Connor could give a damn about dropping his prospect video and going through. That's not his expertise. That's not his lane, right? Picking players ain't what Scott Connor does. But you're going to do it tonight, Scott, because I'm going to name these rookies and their current values, okay, on KTC. And I just want you, and I'm going to make sure you don't get long-winded. I just want to know from a middle to strong contending dynasty team. We're not worrying about rebuilders because that's not fun. You are a strong team. Whether you're contending, you're a strong team. I want to know if you're just buying or selling these rookie players at their cost, right? And I might say expound upon that a little bit, but just at their cost in a general sense. This doesn't mean you hate the player. This doesn't mean you don't roster the player, but at that current cost, you are in favor, pro buying or selling at their current cost, okay?
5 words or less on each one.
5 words or less.
To that standard. I'm not going to go off on a tangent.
Nope. So tie a bow on the QBs though. I want you to wrap it up because I feel you didn't even think twice. You were like, I want to talk QB. Something has struck you as to why you felt so strongly to talk about quarterbacks. So I'm going to give you the floor to just tie a bow on that, man.
Yeah, I think it's just there. Something has to give. It was this with receivers a couple years ago, and we've seen it shift to where I think everybody kind of views receivers now as there's the 6, 7, 8 difference makers, and then it's pretty much everybody else. There's kind of that dead tier of like, we've talked about Garrett Wilson, we've talked about JSN and Marv, like big sexy names, but they don't quite have the clout that they did a year or 2 ago where it didn't matter. Everyone wanted young receivers. And now I think people are much more willing to forgo that non-elite range of receivers, or even with stuff like the Trinity where you go, okay, that guy probably could be good, but not elite. It's okay if I move off of him. I think we're at that point at quarterback. And then now with the 26 class being perceived to be a huge quarterback class, something has to give. And I think we're going to look up middle of this year, the teams that had the nuts at the quarterbacks that nobody really valued as difference makers. It could be pick 2 random guys. You have the Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence QB room. Everyone would have ranked that 8th in the league. But they're both producing top 12 numbers. And you're going, dude, I got those guys for so cheap. You paid so much for Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, and they're not that much better. That's where I think the edge is. I don't know who those guys are, but I think there's a math problem that if you look at your league, it's really hard to move those guys. So I think finding the right combos is huge.
All right. Good segue from one quarterback to another quarterback. Scott Connor, here's the question, right? Like at their current value, cost on KTC, that's what we're using right now. Your opinion, should the dynasty managers, should gamers be buying this player at this cost because you think this is low, it's going to move up, or you need to get out, sell at this price? And I'm not going to let you go long-winded on any of these 5-word answers or less. Jackson Dart, QB 23 right now on KTC. If you can buy Jackson Dart at QB 23 prices in Dynasty, not as a rebuilder, but on a middle to strong team, would you be buying or selling Jackson Dart?
Buy, potential to leap many others.
Okay. There it is, Jackson Dart. Let me give you another one. Scott, currently still as RB 19 on KTC, Quinshon Judkins. I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know if he's got a contract, any of that. But at RB 19 prices in Dynasty, would you be acquiring Judkins or moving Judkins in Dynasty?
Moving, probably dead zone.
Oof. Okay. All right. Dynasty Fantasy Football, right? Strong to contending team. You drafted this player at whatever their value was, but currently they are valued as the tight end 5. Colston Loveland. You buying or selling?
Whew.
Colston Loveland in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And I don't really know what tight end 5 prices are, but you take this from whatever you've seen because people will get it if you buy or sell.
Selling, playing the position differently.
With that being said, Tyler Warren valued as tight end 3, which I am shocked. I did not know that. But Tyler Warren, tight end 3, you probably drafted him in a and we'll say in a 175 and above, right? Let's make this where 175. Once I want to go 2.0, but more people are 175. Or more people 175 are a full point, Scott. It might be a full point, huh? What do you think? More? You think
I think 175 and 2 isn't a huge gap, so I think you can kind of use them interchangeably. But
let's go. Let's just for fun. Let's go 2
highly
points.
Valued. A format where people value the position.
2 points per reception. Tight end 3. Tyler Warren. Dynasty buying or selling? This is your arch nemesis here. This is a big answer. You are a strong to contending team. Tight end 3 before he takes a snap.
I'm making sure this is 5 words, right? I can't pay the price. Can't pay the price. But I can see the built-in...
Stop. I'm not... Nope. I
can't pay the price. We'll leave it there.
Okay.
We'll leave it there. It's for a different show.
Travis Hunter, wide receiver 16. You buying at that price or selling at that price? Because this could be low. I mean, after week 1, this could be low. Or it could be like, what the hell were you doing? Wide receiver 16 prices. You want Hunter or you want to move him?
Buy, but I'll put a question mark at the end of this. How do I get there?
Okay. You've got 2 more. A receiver that's a little lower than Travis Hunter, but maybe not. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver 17. You buying him in this role at that price in Dynasty as a contending to strong team?
Selling. People love him too much.
Travion Henderson at RB8 prices. At RB8 and let me frame it to you this way. You've got a chance on this stronger contending team to pivot off of an Achane, right? You're going to pay a little bit on here, right? You've got one of them kind of running backs, right? Bucky Irving. You got somebody good. Are you using that and something else to buy into Henderson? Because I don't want to let you off the easy hook here. You've got to buy him. You've got to give up Josh Jacobs in a pick. You've got to give up Chase Brown in a pick to buy the RB8 right now, which, again, in 3 weeks, this could look like a steal. I think he could flip with Hampton, who's at RB4. Would you be buying into Henderson or selling Henderson at RB8 prices?
If that way, yes.
If the other way, would you want to buy Travion Henderson? You're giving up 2 first-round picks to get into this player.
Bad process.
Bad process. Yep. Bad process. All right, last one. We're going back down the receiver well because I want to give you some upward mobility here. Upward mobility. Two more. Would you be buying Luther Burden at wide receiver 35? I'm not going to clarify it. I'm not going to, preferences anymore. Would you be buying at wide receiver 35 prices for Luther Burden? Or selling him?
Absolutely. Yes. Easy move.
Matthew Golden at wide receiver 24. That was the one. That was the last one. Matthew Golden, wide receiver 24. Buying into that or selling that?
No, perfect Luther Burden pivot. Boom. That's 5 words.
That was good. Okay. I wanted to check your temperature, man. I'll let you talk about one of those guys. You can explain upon Hunter, Warren, Loveland, Judkins, Dart, Burden, and then we'll wrap it up. Henderson. Which one do you want to explain a little bit why? You said you could not buy Tyler Warren at that price. You were not in on Quinshon Judkins, buying into it at this price, dead zone. You talked about which one of these guys do you want to kind of expound upon? Travis Hunter. You also were like, buying, but you had a question mark. How do I get there? I'll let you explain one away, Scott.
I'm going to go with Judkins because I think a lot of what was built into Judkins, it certainly wasn't he got good draft capital, but it wasn't Omari and Hampton's draft capital, right? It was good. Historically, good bets come out of the early second round. But then he went to the Browns, and then he had the off-the-field stuff. He has the contract stuff. I think you really do have to look at, sure, if you could buy Judkins for a second when it looks like he was going to go to prison, you profited, right? There's probably going to be a window where you can get something better than that. But you have people, we didn't look at Judkins trades, right? But you look at some Judkins KTC trades, and it's like people are just going, he's so good, I'll just re-roll a first to get him. And truly, when you look at what are his potential range of outcomes, I could throw out names where if I told you he has those guys first 3-4 years of their careers, you'd go, yeah, but what exactly did I get? Would I have rather just had a first and figured out running back a different way? I think that's his range of outcomes. So if you can get a first, I'm fine just going, even if he's good, right? Even if he's Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, something like that, in that mix. Did those guys ever kill you not having them on your team? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of feel like what the lane he's destined for, but he still has other things, other baggage that's still currently lingering that you just don't know. What if Dylan Sampson comes out and looks great? What does that backfield look like next year when it's Sampson and Judkins? You know what I mean? It's certainly not a clear path. So I think he feels like the one that he's not as expensive as he was in the rookie draft because people said, oh man, he could be awesome.
Right.
But you can still kind of cash out at close to what he was. And even if you're wrong on he becomes a good player and as a starter, is everything you thought he wanted to be, probably still ends up in that range that he's not killing you if you don't have him. So I think he's a pretty easy sell if you can get first round value still.
Okay. All right, Scott Connor. That's it, man. We've made up for our delayed start. Scott just wanted to see what it feels like when Jay Rich and I are getting bet on between over and unders on when we start the show. This is the last Destination Chill of the season, but this is not the last of you and I for the people on YouTube. What we got, Scott?
No, we are tentatively, we'll announce the exact time and everything, but tentatively we are going to be doing a weekly, not Destination Chill. We'll have to come up with a different title, but it'll probably be, I don't know, something Trinity, but we're going to be talking through the weekly Trinity results and just going through how to use them to buy, sell, move players up, move players down. It'll literally just be you and I sitting here. It's going to be Tuesday nights. I think that's the date we settled on, right? Tuesday nights every week.
Sir. Yes, sir.
We're just going to go through the Trinity report, and I'm going to give. So Ray's going to give. You've all seen Ray do the Trinity, talking through each situation. We're not going to be able to go through every single player, but we're going to highlight the guys that stand out. But I think more importantly, we're going to give an actionable spin to what can I actually do with this Kendrick Bourne or Adam Thielen that's surging up. Okay, yeah, they may not be worth this, but how can I work that into moves or trades or whatever? So we're going to do a weekly Trinity show. It's going to be members only. It's going to be Tuesday nights. We'll announce, the time and how we're going to do it, but that's what we're going to be doing during the season, and then Destination Chill will be back in the off season.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate everybody that that rocks with us over here. Highly encourage you, especially this season, to get in the Discord. Get in the Discord on the website, ddfantasyfootball.com or patreon.com/allgas. We do weekly AMAs in there. Scott's constantly in the voice chat. I'm in the voice chat. I'm in this community. You know, for a while, you know, selling tools and products and all of that shit is necessary, right? It is necessary, right? For those of y'all out there that don't know, Scott Connor ain't free. Scott Connor costs money. Shane Manila costs money. So some things are a necessity, and that's why we appreciate everybody that's a member. But man, get in the community, man. Like that's my focus this year, Scott, is like, let's really get back to that communal focus, because there are so many factors that are influencing the game, right? We are a part of that. Redraft, best ball. Like we've brought some of that shit to the Dynasty space too. Scott, some of that Dynasty is played in 1 year windows. Hey, your voice is loud, and you and I have talked about it. I don't give a shit about next year. I don't care about that. I care, but I really want to focus this season on that community, growing that up, talking through some of these strategies, and really trying to think ahead, man. So I'm just encouraging everybody. If you're a member here, a lot of y'all are in the Cord, get in. If you could join the Heisman tier, get in. Like I'm telling you, it's not, these people haven't been there for years on years and years on end if it was a waste of their damn time. So plugging that for everybody. Scott, you want to say anything before we wrap up and get up out of here, man?
No, I mean, it's start of a new year, last destination chill, but I know Ray and I have said this to each other, gosh, probably 100 times this summer. You're going to get more from us and I'm going to hold you accountable just as you're going to hold me accountable. Like both in the Discord and then on the members only. Like we'll jump on and just talk about sometimes what's on our mind. Instead of texting each other or voice messaging each other back and forth, we should just hit go live. And maybe that's members only on YouTube, or maybe that's Discord where we record it and everybody can listen back if you're a member over there. But I think just recording a lot of these conversations and being able to just have that archived, you never know what the future could be with all of that. But that's going to be a big thing for me this season, is being able to really like capitalize on these conversations, because some of the best Dynasty strategy and talk is done off the air, right?
Yeah.
Like we talk about stuff, we go, damn, man, if we could really recreate the vibe of that 20-minute discussion we just had for a show, that would be the content people want. Yeah. And sometimes it fizzles out when you try to recreate it on a show that you plan for, you know, it just doesn't hit the same way. So I think just making it more of an effort to get people in and say, you know what, we're going to be, even if it's 10 minutes, Ray, we did it the other day with the Brian Robinson trade, right?
Trade, yep.
We talked about that, and we talked about the potential if Adam Thielen leaves, what does that mean for Coker and Leggett or Jatavian Sanders? And it was that. It was a quick 15 minutes, but we captured those two topics. And there's so many of those opportunities during the season that I'm not saying we miss them all, but a lot of times we just get to vibing and it's like, damn, that would have been a good thing.
Good show,
to be able to point to and let people listen back to. So if you're a member of the Cord or on YouTube or both, you're going to get more of those perks. So thank you for being here this summer. It was fun, but looking forward to get this season kicked off.
Appreciate y'all. Hit that thumbs up button, like, comment, subscribe. If you're not a member, help the channel grow. Make sure you check out all the content here on DDFFB. Check out my channel, Ray Garvin, NFL, Draft, and Fantasy Football. Wake up with myself and Jay Rich every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And stay tuned, man. A lot of dope stuff coming from the content creators over here. Scott, Shane, Ty DeClaire, Brandon doing a phenomenal job. We got Best Ball Night School on the podcast feed. We got Ty and Gabe doing the All Gas Trade Show. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on here at DD. So much love. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all, and we'll see y'all very soon. Y'all know what it is, man. We love y'all. DD for life, all gas all the time. Y'all have a good evening. Make this week great, and we'll see y'all on the channel. We out. Peace.